I think you should remove a piece of your body for every dollar that you've donated. I think you can.
What is that?
You just broke my doors with your head.
Yes, I did. Now, is that fear?
It's my piss bottle.
Oh, well, this is awkward.
Yeah, kinda awkward. I wish you never asked about that bottle.
But like, why do you keep it in the open?
Can we not do this right now?
Oh, all right. Well, listen. Carpet needs you to find differences between this picture and this picture. And I'm told there are at least 69.
An oddly specific number.
Yep. Anyway, you know how they are. Good luck. Find them all. It's important. Forward the company.
What company?
They're the same picture.
Hello there. I am Polak. That's a hobgoblin. That's a beaver. Tell me, do you like history, but hate how they skip the fun parts at school? Do you enjoy collecting anime waifus, but hate paying outrageous amounts of money for them? Do you want to play card games, but hate socializing with human opponents? Me too. And that's where Krzyżacy, Knights of the Cross, comes in. Featuring historical accuracy, based department, busted strategies, busty characters. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. China. The land of the unhappy, ungrateful, and borderline psychopathic individuals. So, really, just like my lovely Poland. You may be surprised because this game is not a gacha. It uses gacha mechanics, but refuses to take your money after paying some peanuts to unlock it on Steam. Or not. Look, I live in Poland. We really don't judge sailors of the seven seas. Olive Panda Studio, the developers of Krzyżacy, decided to put their blood, sweat, and tears to bring us their rendition of the classic Polish literature in a completely new light. Let's set up the scene. It's the Middle Ages. Those interesting, fun, and turbulent times full of magic, gunpowder, and half-naked women. And only one of those things is objectively false. In times when we get bombarded by mediocre quintuple A titles and are forced to choose between feeding your 18 starving kittens, cleaning your dakimakura, and curing cancer, or buying a single video game that will last us whole 3 hours. This small Chinese company gives us the alternative. I mean, you still gotta pay like $12, but ask yourself, one Starbucks coffee on Thursday with your work homies, or a potential new addiction? I know my answer.
Chapter 1. Story.
Believe it or not, but this work of art is based on another work of art. In Polish schools, we are politely asked to read some books made by great authors who are definitely not high on opium while writing. One of such masters is Henryk Sienkiewicz. If you have trouble pronouncing it, then that's good. There are scarce few things more enjoyable to a Pole than hearing a foreigner struggle with saying
Grzegorz Brzęczyszczykiewicz.
Anyway, the bloke was, all in all, a pretty decent writer. One of his biggest books is, well, Krzyżacy, or The Knights of the Cross. You may think it is about Germans. Kinda. Well, if you don't know us Polish people, then let me enlighten you. We are not exactly fond of our Western neighbors. Unless we're talking about German shepherds. Because a good German is an obedient German.
Whoa! I will not stand for the blatant slander of all Germans. Have you forgotten who made Gothic?
Perhaps I treated them too harshly. Or not harsh enough. Henryk is described as an epic Polish writer. Do note that the word epic is not exactly the same as the one you may be thinking about. To quote Oxford, epic means a long poem typically derived from ancient oral tradition, narrating the deeds and adventures of heroic or legendary figures, or the past history of a nation. The man wrote long books about cool characters. Got it? Good. The main point of the book is the conflict between Poland and, forgive me for speaking German, the Deutscher Orden. If I butchered that pronunciation, good. That was my intent. I will not bore you with all the details. Just know that there was a young boy named Zbyszko, who fell in love and wanted to prove himself as a knight. Just like many other young men, he wanted to fight the Teutonic Knights to show how badass he is. Ladies love those. The difference between Zbyszko and other young men is that, well, he survived. He even married 2 waifus.
Man, that's hot.
Just skip the fact that one of them had an early retirement from living. The conflict between Poland and the Germs kept growing more hot, until eventually it came to a devastating crash as 2 armies met at Grunwald, where the most famous battle of 1410 took place. Fun fact! There's a Polish movie based on the novel, because of course there is, and unless you understand fluent Polish and Old Polish, you may have troubles watching. But I recommend giving it a try, just for the big battle scene. It is also a pretty decent picture, all in all. Even saved many young Poles from reading the book. It didn't save them from failing the test about the book anyway, cause a crazy self-proclaimed femme fatale teacher woke up on the wrong side of bed. Alone. Again. With nothing to look forward to in life but a miserable end. And potentially getting eaten by her own 24 cats. Ah, high school. Another fun fact. Zbyszko in the original novel started as a 12-year-old boy. Man, talking about the shonen protagonist syndrome. I guess we Slavs are just built different. Anyway, the game follows a similar story, but it gives you some choices to make. You can follow the story as in the novel, or choose some different challenges. You can also pursue 2 love interests in the game, Danusia and Jagienka. As I mentioned before, Zbyszko married both of them, but it was not so simple. In the game, you can avoid a bad ending and have Danusia and her father both survive. This is a perfect moment to talk about Jurand, the father, who's also my own father's favorite character. Jurand of Spychów is a legendary anti-hero of Polish literature, described as a giant of a man, light hair and a mustache that decorated his beak-like, yet dangerous face. He had one good eye, which looked like it could pierce a man with one look. The lack of the other was hidden with an eye patch. In short, you really do not want to ever meet a man like that. Some say he was pretty chill, until some Germans decided to visit his hometown, Spychów, and kill his wife. What a German thing to do! After that, something snapped in him, and he dedicated his entire being to slaughtering the Knights of the Cross in most painful ways imaginable. His name alone was enough to make them scatter to the wind. In both stories, Urant falls for the trap and wants to save his daughter, only to be taken prisoner later. In the game, you can kinda warn him about it, but he still gets blinded, so I don't know. Just what you get from trusting Germans. Going back to the romantic options, Jagienka is the objectively better choice, because she's a tomboy and has a funny beaver scene. That is not an innuendo.
Welcome to Hobby News of the Week. The population of beavers had a drastic drop in recent weeks. Witnesses are claiming there is a crazy blue-haired woman on the loose. Her sole goal is to exterminate as much fauna as she can. Please, contact local authorities if you spot this woman running in the forest with a bow. Do not engage her. She reacts to the name Jagienka and is extremely dangerous.
On this channel, however, we are power gamers, and Danusia will be needed for the ultimate dream team later on, so sorry guys, we are going with the pure and trad choice this time. If it's any consolation, I played the game again and chose the Jagienka option this time. I even heard some rumors that you can get them both somehow. Well, since we're not playing, let's stick to one choice. I don't want to recite the entire story to you guys, so instead let me just give you a gist of what happens next. We fight more Germans. Shocking. And yes, the final battle takes place at Grunwald, where we witness the power of an old grandpa reigning in a profession where men die young. I have a few bones to pick with that one, but we will get to it in the next section. The one thing you have to keep in mind is that to enjoy the overall story you need a very peculiar ability that almost no one possesses anymore: reading. As we all know, humanity in 2024 can barely afford one functioning brain cell per person. Inflation is not nice. Asking said brain cell to do anything more than bare minimum to survive is like asking your parents to watch your favorite VTuber together.
Whoa, sex. Whoa, sex. Cunny, sex. Whoa, pump, plap, sex, cunny, sex.
Not very feasible. And that's why we're skipping the rest of it.
Chapter 2 Gameplay.
If you played Slay the Spire, you know what's up. A wise man once said, if you played one card battler, you played them all. The basics are indeed the same, but the nuances deserve a bit of an explanation. In this game, you don't fight alone. You set up a team of 4 heroes. Zbyszko, the MC, is always there. But what about 3 others? While you can skip them and make Zbyszko absurdly broken with relics, well, where's the fun in that? So let's see what we're working here with. First, your camp. This is the hub, the place where you can rest, level up, or talk to Seth if you want to have a smaller deck. It doesn't hurt, I swear.
Why are you the way that you are?
It's also healthy and good for you in the long run. You can also hire new characters here. There are plenty to choose from, more being unlocked as you progress and level up your main hero. Just remember, like in real life, characters are not made equal. Hired. So, what do you do?
I won't miss.
Fucking hired.
It says on your resume that you can bring down the literal sun, correct?
Ha! Sounds useful. Any hobbies?
I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Smells like victory.
I am too freaked out not to hire her.
Yep. Fits right in. Hold the fuck up. Is that Julius Captain Caesar?
I shall consider myself hired.
Alright, this one seems to be the last. So what do you...
Slay all.
Hired!
Once you assemble your Avengers, it's time to use them. Oh, what is that? They have 3 different skills, but this is a card game. Do I draw their cards or no? In order to activate the skills, you have to gather a corresponding mana, essence, skills. Look, just gather the colored candies. We have green, blue, and red. Easy, right?
Wrong.
You also need a specific amount of them. And later on, some characters will require an additional golden color to do some fun things. I know, this requires a lot of brain power, but trust me, if my little brain cell was enough to figure it out, you can do it too. And if making a deck around your hero's skills is too hard, then I recommend uninstalling and putting on some Dora the Explorer show on YouTube. It might just pose a balanced challenge for you. However, if you want to continue pushing on, then I will let you in on a little trick. There are characters that only deal with one mana type, or mostly one, while needing only 1 mana point from something else. It doesn't get more straightforward than that. By combining cards, you can eventually get all your heroes to attack with their ultimate skills. It is quite satisfying. But cards are not everything. There are 2 more things you need to keep in mind: relics and talents. Let's start with the latter. Every time Zbyszko levels up, he gets a talent point. You can use them as you see fit and pick up interesting abilities. Okay, you done? Good. But I lied. Now, scrap it all. If, like me, you thought money is the solution to all problems, then you may have experienced some bad times during quests. Money will help you become overpowered in due time, but the red talent tree will do it from the get-go. While many merchant-minded players may try to save up as much gold as possible to then get absolutely cucked by RNG of the shop, the true gigachads will pick 3 or 4 talents from the red tree and end the fight before it even begins. Once you get strong, you can replay a level up quest where you fight wolves and get 70 gold coins for winning. With a solid team, it will take you a dozen or so seconds to complete. It's free to redistribute talents, so you can also just quickly stack up some money talents and get to grinding. Not that you really need it, but it's an option if you want to get rich quick. And they always said it's a scam. Green tree is okay, but all the healing can be taken care of by having a good deck and a healer or a good relic. Which brings us to said relics. There are plenty of them, and quite a bunch of them are interesting. My favorite ones are those that synergize with my best and current strategy, which is always the same in any card battler: give me more actions and draw me more cards. With this in mind, I managed to whip out a relic build that, with a little bit of luck, lets me snowball and go from measly 5 cards at the beginning of the game to the entire deck, sometimes on repeat. before an enemy has a chance to tie their shoes. Combine Star Pendant, Ritual Charm, Eternal Love, Heartwood, Sacred Amulet, Tattered Cards, Scarlet Staff, Broken Sword. Since most of my cards are either draw cards, gain energy or sacrifice health, I pretty much never run out of cards. Also, please, do not use Duplicate with Energy Siphon or draw 3 cards. It is very bad for the balance of the game. Turn 1 can still go mediocre, but even then, our Omni/Lady will carry the team. Speaking of which, I think this is a good time for some character introductions. To make up for the story, Knights of the Cross offers us plenty of waifus to choose from. Each one has his or her own side quest. No, you do not get a special CG with them at the end. Trust me, I checked a few times. Event went on Rule 34, not counting the main girls, Danusia and Jagienka, but you do get some other nice bonuses like relics or broken cards. Anyway, here are a select few of my favorite companions. Shira, Delucia, Darth, Julius, Caesar, Cyrene. There are many more than that, but these ones were my top dogs. Shira, or Shire, I don't care, is a very misunderstood giant woman. Who could mistake this wholesome barbarian for a bloodthirsty beast? Everyone. I may be wrong here, but wearing a battle bikini with giant horns on your head and swinging a humongous axe around, albeit being badass and making me proud, may not, in fact, be the best idea for a good first impression. Damn peasants. It should have been me, not them. It's not fair. Delucia is the one character who carried my ass through over half of the game. Her kit is very easy to use, and my cards at that time were mostly red with some blue here and there, making it perfect to spam her ultimate move. Now, I have a bit of an issue with that skill. It is undeniably useful and very strong, targeting the weakest unit and deleting them from existence, but just listen to that sound effect. Why does a bow have a better and more impactful sound effect than the ultimate skill of a sniper? Because some characters are built different. I even calculated the power required to generate such a sound with ChatGPT. In order to shoot the damn bow with enough power to make it sound as intimidating as a gunshot, you would need around 8,400 watts of power, which equals the power consumption of 8 microwaves. Are you a microwave? Can you reheat my favorite food like a microwave? Can you do it 8 times at once? I didn't think so. Small chicks with bows can do that in this game.
Announcement. We would like to inform you that Polak is not the sharpest tool in the shed, and his math may be wrong.
The next one is Darth, who is not that dark. Honestly, her appearance is a bit next level compared to all the others, but she's weirdly logical about everything. I was expecting a maniac bound on seeing the world burn in flames or her napalm, but she's rather down to earth. If we ignore the fact that she's autistic, which made it easy for me to relate to her on an emotional level, and she has a weird thing with bears. Truly, in the debate of man versus bear, just beat the shit out of both. Julius Caesar stands out, even more so if you touch his sword. Never do that to a fellow man. His real name is Modima, and he keeps trying to tell me he's a knight. You know, this reminds me of a certain blonde girl with a sword, coping hard and gaslighting everyone into saying that she's a king and totally not breedable. What was I saying? Ah yes, Modima is a pretty cool dude, and chicks love him. Last, but certainly not least, is Cyrene. Very Polish name. She is my pride and joy, my creme de la creme, my very own beef Wellington, as she single-handedly wins any fight, all because of her final skill, Omni Slash, Omni Strike, 1000 Cuts, Stardance, whatever. Point is, she just annihilates everything in existence by attacking all enemies 7 times. You can buff her with Fury for 4 damage up. You can stack Fury on her. Yes, hitting all enemies for 14 damage 7 times in a row is very balanced. I love it. Once I recruited her, which took a bit of time since you need to do some astrology quest, which you automatically fail if you're a Virgo, which is why I had to give Steam a fake birthday. But once I did manage to get her, my whole playstyle changed. I wasn't just playing for Zbyszko and his big attacks. I was strategizing how to effectively launch the deadliest attack in the game every single turn. She makes you work for it. But don't worry, I'm here to help. You have to prepare 2 types of every mana in the game for her, and then put a cherry on top, a golden card. Which, guess what? It just so happens to be Fury, for example. And I know my pronunciation can be wacky, but I mean Fury, not Fairy, or Fairy. There's a difference. Alright? Alright. With all that said, let's get to work. You can learn every character's backstory from the side quests that become available when you recruit them and have them in your party. You can only have a handful of them at once, so I guess the game wants you to play it more than once. Well, given how busted strong you become when you put some points into the talent tree, you should have no problems learning about every waifu. But still, respect your time. Pick and choose, and focus on one build. Anyway, once you get the hang of the game mechanics, it's time to test your mettle. Meet Knight Powala. Or shouldn't it be Powała? Because Polish letters seem too difficult for even a master of calligraphy such as a random Chinese citizen. This is the casual filter. In this fight, we separate the peasants from the knights. Personally, it took me around 15 minutes to beat the guy. Why was it so long? Was I stupid? Yes. But there is another reason. You see, as a filthy Limbus Company player and Project Moon enjoyer, I suffer from a terminal illness. I cannot read. Checking out boss abilities? Miss me with that shit. Real Chad gamers put all their points to strength and bonk the boss until it dies. Unfortunately for me, this guy has a nasty surprise. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. What if I told you killing him does not in fact kill him, and instead makes him multiply? Yes. After spending 10 minutes whacking him over the head, I now had to fight 3 additional bosses at once. What a brilliant idea, which could only be spawned by a Chinese mastermind. To their defense, I was still learning the ropes and had a very unsophisticated deck. The next big fight is against Werner, who I believe should be dead around this time, but limited Chinese internet might have omitted that information. That, or they just slapped a random German knight so you can have someone to fight. Anyway, I experienced an epiphany and miraculously was granted the ability to read, so I realized that his shtick is really useless against my full physical team. Take less damage from status effects? How about I status this bullet in your skull? During the campaign you will sometimes have a choice. Usually the higher star quest will give you better rewards, unless you have a different build. Don't be scared of quests with more stars. As long as you can heal and draw cards, you will be fine. Moving on. We meet Siegfried, who looks like Merlin and is a very annoying bastard to deal with. See, his passive is preventing you from using certain types of cards each turn. It goes magic, support, attack. Since I am using a red deck with a bit of support, I pretty much get cacked once every 3 turns, and half cacked half of the time. It is annoying, but just you wait. You haven't seen anything yet. You can use the badass Urant in this fight, but at this point he's useless to me, as he's a bleed character and even in that sense will not outshine my fully leveled up Caesar. The boss dies without much issue. Have I mentioned that the game becomes rather easy once you build your deck? You can inflate enemy numbers with higher difficulty once you beat the game. But do you really want even longer fights? Chapter 3. Critique. There are things in this game I genuinely dislike. The difficulty being one of them. The only thing that enemies can threaten you with after Chapter 2 is time. Time to kill, to be precise. Get a few healing relics and level up your party and you will destroy anything. I stopped even reacting to what the enemy does at some point, even bosses. Instead of making them have some interesting passives, the devs decided to give them annoying ones, and weaponize inflation as the main German tactic. Now that I think about it, maybe they wanted to warn us. This forced me to use the most broken hero, Siren, in order to not be surprised by the next Tool album, while I deal with a boss. Next. Why do the beavers look normal in game and CG, but turn to otters in the cutscenes? Why can I understand Germans? Why do the characters forget how to talk randomly, which is probably just some bug? Oh, but wait, you thought I forgot. There is one thing that does not bring me any joy in this game. The final fight. The last boss of the game is the Grand Master of the German Weeaboo clan, Ulrich von Jungingen. Like any other shonen grandpa, he was hiding his real strength. And I do not mean the muscles, I mean his goddamn passive. Limit the player to only 8 cards each turn. Remember my master plan of drawing an entire deck and nuking enemy turn 2 at the latest? Yeah, we can throw that out the fucking window. It still works to some extent, but the fight is long and a bit boring. My team is pretty much immortal, so it turns into the war of attrition. How does the ground taste, Grandpa? Chapter 4. Final Thoughts. In conclusion, I enjoyed my time with this title. It's wacky, it's weird, and it knows it and owns it. It brought something new to the card battle game meta for me, and I am very grateful for that. If you have a few bucks to spare, I would highly recommend it. Good time killer when you're waiting for bigger titles to come out. By the way, for historical snobs out there, the Chinese devs released a free DLC that changes every character's image from realistic Polish people into historically accurate Polish people. It's free, but I prefer to have things on the screen that reflect my neighborhood. With all that said, I give Krzyżacy, Knights of the Cross, a score of quite polished out of 10. Whatever that means, I leave to your imagination. That's all for now. See you in the next episode. Cześć.
Next time on Polaktin.
Okay, that's 2, and here's the 3rd one, I think. Oh, Jesus, why am I even doing this?
Oh hey, how's the work going?
How about you piss off already?
I think it's more the you thing, mate. His body.